Good morning, DFS fans, and welcome back to another edition of DFS Today. This is your Tuesday, January 18th edition. I am Santino Cacone, and I am joined by the one, the only, DJ Sammy Caps. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Good, man. I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing pretty good. Yeah. We are on MLK Day today. We had games all day. We're doing this one a little bit early or in the night on the 17th. But yeah, we had games all day. I love days like this when there's basketball all around. It's pretty fun. But yeah, now we're going to jump on it. We're going to have a really quick 2-game slate, man. 4 teams, 3 solid teams, or 1 really good team, two all right teams, and then 1 kind of clinker over here. What are you looking forward to on this slate? Anything?
I mean, I'd have to say Wolves and Knicks because I think that'll be the most competitive. I don't think the Pistons really have a chance against the Warriors. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Curry missed last game. Draymond's out. They might not play Curry again. We could see, but yeah, as of right now, probably not that competitive.
Mm-hmm.
But without further ado, man, let's get into it. Actually, you know what? Before we get into it, I want everybody to know, take a moment, follow Ethos Fantasy BK on Twitter, the single most dominant basketball and fantasy news feed on earth. Get all your NBA news in one handy Twitter feed, and it's faster than competition and provides more analysis. Again, that's at Ethos Fantasy BK on Twitter. I also want everybody to know about our awesome promotions. We have at manscaped.com, get 20% off your order and free shipping using the promo code HoopBall20. And also at mybookie.ag, use the code HoopBall on the third page of sign up to unlock deposit match bonuses there as well. Fantastic. And don't forget about ExpressVPN. You get 3 months bonus on a 12-month subscription using the promo code HoopBall. If you haven't used any of these products, I would recommend to do so immediately. I am a fan of all 3. I don't want to point my finger, but I think maybe ExpressVPN might be my favorite, though I use all 3 of them all the time. But maybe you could bleep that in editing. I don't know if I should have picked a favorite there, but here we are. All right, let's get into it, man. We have 2-game docket. We don't have spreads at the moment. We do have an injury report. On the Wolves side, we have Jordan McLaughlin. Jordan McLaughlin as out, and we have Jalen Noel as probable. On the Knicks side, we don't have a full injury report, but we know Derrick Rose is out. Cam Reddish is likely out. Solomon Hill should be out pretty much for the year. Nerlens Noel, Kemba Walker, questionable, both of them. And that's how we'll roll into it, man. But we'll throw it out to you first on the Wolves side. What are you looking at on this side of the ball?
Yeah, obviously I'm looking at Cat. I'm looking at Anthony Edwards and even D'Angelo Russell. As he's getting back up there in his price tag as well. For value, I'm looking at Malik Beasley. He's at 4,400 tonight. He's played 24-plus minutes, and I really like him in tonight's game against the Knicks. He had 16 points, 2 boards, 3 assists against the Warriors his last time out, and I look for him to build on that game tonight. And I'm also looking at Patrick Beverly. He's at 5,500. I think he has some value. He'd be able to score in double digits, I think, at least, in my opinion, for tonight, and he's been doing it more often than not. He's also been stepping up his defensive game as of late too. So I think for 5,500, he's definitely worth a look in the 2-game slate. But what are you looking at?
Yeah, and I really I think Edwards is in a solid matchup here. I mean, there's only 2 games, so it's going to be a lot of digging in deep. And if you want to get a Towns, Edwards, we might not have Curry, so there might be a lot of cap room left over to spend up big. But yeah, I don't mind Towns, Edwards. Probably go more Edwards for price per dollar here, a little bit more than in Russell as well. I think I'm expecting a nice bounce back from him. You mentioned Beverly and Vanderbilt. I think they're both decent options in the mid-range here. I don't mind either of them. I like Vanderbilt's upside in rebounding. They'll need his size here. Beverly is just solid do-it-all player. For value and digging deep, I would take a look at Nasrid and McDaniels. Again, 2-game slate. we probably have to get one of these guys in our lineup if you're just going all heavy, especially if Curry plays and you want Curry as well. Nasrid, we know his per-minute upside. He's not going to get a ton of minutes, but 3,900, if he can get 15 to 20 minutes, he can bring back value there. And same with Jaden McDaniels. He has the ability to rack up the stocks. So if he can continue to get in the mid-20s, decent option there. But yeah, not too much outside of that.
It takes a lot of ingredients to fix or build a car, like cooking, but without the frozen dinner easy way out. eBay Motors has 122 million parts. It's always the right fitment, so you can follow any recipe to a T. Whether it's a vintage Italian coupe that's classic like Grandma's meatballs, or a German luxury car that's as complicated as Oma's rouladen, to cook up something great in the garage, use the eBay Motors app or visit ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
But on the Knicks side of the ball, man, what are you looking at over here?
I've got obviously Julius Randle. Who else do I have over here? Oh, here we go. I'm actually looking at Julius Randle, and I think the most value, I'll be looking at Alec Burks and Evan Fournier. They've both cooled off as of late. But like I said earlier with Beverly, it's a 2-game slate, so I think they have the talent, and I think they could potentially have a good game for tonight. So at Burks at 6,500 and Fournier at 5,500, I think that would be worth a look. And then I'm looking at Emmanuel Quickly, 4,000. He's been getting minutes really regardless of how he's been playing. He had 12 points, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists his last game out. And I believe that was against the Warriors, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Quickly will definitely be a good even value play for tonight's game. But who are you looking at?
Yeah, and I forgot to mention before the game, or before we started, Wolves are on the front end of a back-to-back. The Knicks, they don't have their injury report yet because they are on the back end of a back-to-back, the lone team on the back end of a back-to-back of the 4. And Detroit is on the front end of a back-to-back. Golden State is the only team that's not on either end of the 4. But yeah, I think Randall's starting to play a little bit better, 9-2. If I'm going to go to that price tag, and if it's per dollar, I'd rather just try and get to Cat a little bit more. I know it's $1,000 difference, but I do like RJ Barrett. He's playing really, really well right now. I think the price difference between the two, I'd rather go RJ Barrett for price per dollar, but we might not really care about price per dollar depending on how you facilitate your lineups here, because there's only 2 games. That said, Alec Burks is a guy I'm looking at depending on Kemba Walker. Kemba hasn't played. Came back, started being really, really solid again. Blew up the first couple games, then went a little down, and then hasn't played in a little bit. If he does play, it really muddies the waters for Burks and Emmanuel Quickly. If he doesn't, then I'm with you. I don't mind Burks at 65. I do prefer RJ Barrett at $800 more if it has to come down to those two. Quickly at 4K is a really solid price tag. He's playing, like you mentioned, a lot regardless. Played 29 minutes today. He played 20 before that. But he's playing a little bit enough that 4K is a very solid value for him. Mitch Robinson, if Nerlens Noel misses again, Mitch Robinson's going to have a good chunk of minutes coming his way. 5-4, I don't mind it. If Nerlens Noel does play and he's ready to play a lot, then I don't mind him either at 3,700. That's a very solid value play. I wouldn't go to Mitch if Noel's playing and everybody's healthy. That would scratch topping off my potential very, very punt play if you're going super heavy. But yeah, I'm with you for the most part. I like Barrett the most, and depending on Kemba's availability, Burks and Quickly are very solid options here as well. All right, man. Jumping on over to the last game of the night. We're already there. And
man,
actually,
it went by fast.
Right. Ooh, we went right through this podcast, all 85 teams. Well, actually, before we do jump onto that, I want everybody to know that we have a brand new daily sports fantasy partner at Sports Ethos. It is Thrive Fantasy. Prop up with Thrive Fantasy on their mobile app or at thrivefantasy.com. Use code ETHOS when you sign up to get a 100% deposit match bonus on your first deposit up to $100 plus either 2 or 4 free game tickets to play. Pick player props on the biggest names playing every night. Score points when your props hit. And the players with the most points win a share of the nightly prize money. So do check them out. They are awesome as well. All right, man. Last game of the night. We don't have spreads for these guys yet. We don't have an injury report. For the Detroit, I will say Kelly Olynyk is questionable. They said he was active the last game, but he didn't play. I don't know if he's ready to play. And on the front end of a back-to-back, he's only going to play one of these 2 games. That's a foregone conclusion. I don't know if it's going to be this one or the next one, if he does play at all. But Jeremy Grant is out. Frank Jackson, we'll put him at questionable, but he went back into the protocols, so that's probably on the opposite end of questionable. And Rodney McGruder, he got traded and untraded, so he's not playing. But what are you looking at on the Detroit side of the ball?
Honestly, for Detroit, especially in the 2-game slate tonight, it's pretty much all value in my opinion. I'll be looking at Bay, Diallo, Trey Lyles, and Cade Cunningham. But out of those 4, I would be really looking at Cunningham. He's at 7,500. Even though he faces a tough Warriors team, he did not finish the last game out because he was ejected in the third quarter, but he still ended up with 21 points, 4 assists, and 1 rebound. So I think if he finished out that last quarter, I could only imagine what kind of a game he could have had. So I think he'll be really fired up for this one. And even in garbage time, he should be getting some more playing time. I don't think they'll be really sitting him for tonight. Maybe like the last, maybe half a quarter in the fourth. But that's who I'm really looking at. But what about you, Santino?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to like on this team, especially even if more so if Curry doesn't play. You look at the last 4 games with Draymond out of the lineup, and just looking at the last 4 games, the Warriors have given up 116 to Memphis, 118 to Milwaukee, and that was a blowout. So Milwaukee probably could have scored even more. 138 points to Chicago. They also got blown out. And in another blowout, they gave up 119 to Minnesota. So obviously, without Draymond, this is not the same defense. Their quarterback of the defense, in my opinion, the runaway right now for Defensive Player of the Year. I probably should have won it last year as well, but that's another conversation. But without him, this defense obviously isn't the same. We might not have Steph Curry, so there's even though he's not the greatest of defenders, a lot of attention goes to him just whenever he's on the court, wherever you are, even if you're on offense. But on the Detroit side of the ball, Cade Cunningham had a really solid game against these guys last time, over 40 points. I would go right back to him. I think 7,500. We mentioned RJ Barrett. A lot of the guys on the higher mid-range, I do like tonight. Cunningham being one. Sadiq Bey, he didn't have a great game against these guys in the first matchup. He was shot 3 of 14 from the field, and this wasn't too long ago, but they were pretty healthy when they played, and there was Draymond Green in the lineup at that time. He is no longer here, so I don't mind him here. I do prefer Cunningham for the upside, but it depends also on Kelly Olynyk. If Kelly Olynyk's going to play here and take some minutes, that might stimmy Bey slightly, just slightly enough. It'll stimmy Trey Lyles a little bit. It'll stimmy Isaiah Stewart a little bit. But if he doesn't play, Lyles at 5'1", Stewart at 4'6". These guys make a lot of sense to me. Even Corey Joseph at 5'2". I think there's some solid value to be had here on this lineup. But I really do like Cade. I'll take the most chances on him. All right, jumping on over to the last team of the night, man. What are you looking at on the Warriors side of the ball?
Well, I'm really looking at Clay. Let me get my notes up here. He's 5,500, and I still think he's really undervalued. I mean, it's hard for DraftKings to value him because he's coming back, but the Warriors have been ramping up his minutes. I think he played 23 minutes in the last game, and I think even in garbage time for tonight, I think he'll play a little more than Steph if Steph does play. So I think 5,500 is still a steal for Clay. I'll also be looking at Andrew Wiggins. And if we're paying up for somebody in our expensive tier, I'll be paying up for Cat over Curry. That is if Curry does play tonight with his hand issue. But I'll get the Cat a little bit later. I just want to put that side note in there. But for some value, I'm also looking at Jonathan Kaminga and Jordan Poole. Kaminga is at 4,300 for tonight, and with Draymond out, he's been really taking advantage of his opportunity. The last 2 games, he scored 25 points and 19 points. He also had 3 rebounds and 7 rebounds. Then he had 3 assists and 1 assist. And he also logged 26 minutes against my Bulls and 33 against Minnesota. So I think I look for him to get even more experience for tonight. Like I said, with this game possibly going to be garbage time, I think he'll be the one that'll be out there the most. And they'll probably be sitting most of their starters on the Warriors side. But who are you looking at?
Yeah, and I forgot to mention the injury report. Draymond's out, Wiseman's out, Gary Payton's questionable. Looks like Kerr said, well, Curry is questionable, but Kerr said he should be available for this game, so that'll change things up there. A 10-6 in play, if you have the money, if you're just going to go all scrubs and duds, yeah, you can do that. If not, he's still going to be in a fantastic matchup. But I'm looking, you mentioned Klay Thompson, and now that he's not how he was priced when he first came, he was 5'8" first game, you're like, nope. If he can ramp up to 25 minutes, now that he's not over 6K and he's only mid-5, that's not bad. I don't think the upside is huge because he's not going to play a ton of minutes, but that's not bad for him. Otto Porter Jr. is probably my favorite play on this team. With no Draymond Green, he's getting nice run here. He's playing in the mid-20s. I know the 2 games before last game he was in the mid-teens, and that's because those games were just absolute blowouts. They lost by over 40 points to Chicago, and they were down by 40 at points of the game against Milwaukee. Even Milwaukee just stopped playing. But this game shouldn't be like that. I think it'll be more competitive, especially with Dre out. And Otto Porter Jr. should be in the mid-20s here at 5'8". He's starting to come around, and I really like him here. Gary Payton Jr. might be some solid value. You mentioned Kaminga. Yeah, he's playing a little bit too. I don't know how much of that is garbage time because they have been getting blown out, but even the 2 games prior to the last 2, he played 19 and 20 minutes and scored in double figures. So I think at 4-3, you can look at him as well. And yeah, I'm probably outside of Curry. I do like Porter, Thompson, Kaminga, the wings here, and that's where I'm going to have the most exposure. All right, man, we did it. We went through this entire slate, and now the hard part. Let's throw our favorite player tiers out there. In the expensive tier, who is your go-to here? And there's only 4 to choose from, so we can add in Cunningham and Barrett, everybody over 7K into this one.
Yeah, so I actually do have Cunningham in my expensive tier. So if you guys read the article of today, you will see him at 7,500 in there. But who I really want to talk about is Cat. He's at 10-2. And I think if you're between Curry and Cat, I would definitely be leaning towards Karl-Anthony Towns. I think he'll be the one that gets the most minutes tonight against the Pistons with the Warriors. It's going to be a blowout, and I don't think Curry will be playing full minutes. So I think we get the most value for spending up on Cat. And that's who my play is. I was going to say more, but I think I'm done.
All right, I like it. And yeah, I think I like a few guys. I like both Barrett and Cade, but I'm going to go with Cade for the upside at his price tag here. 3 out of the last 4 games, he shot over 53% from the field. And if he's going to shoot 40 plus, that's very enticing. He should get more ball handling responsibilities. This should be more of an up-tempo game. And as I mentioned, all of the negatives on the Warriors defense without Draymond in there, there's some upside here. He did have a nice 46-point fantasy outing against these guys in the first one, in their first meeting in 36 minutes, 19 points, 6 boards, 6 assists. I can see that again. He had 5 stocks, maybe not that, but I can see more points here, especially if he's efficient. And I really like him at that 7.5 price tag. All right, man, let's go on over. Who is your favorite mid-tier play of the night? All right, I think we lost you for a second, or maybe I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. I was muted, guys. Oh my gosh, I'm such a noob. But I'll be looking Clay's way for my value play or my mid-tier play. I'm sorry. He's 5,500 tonight. And like you mentioned, he'll probably play 25 minutes. And I agree with that. 2 games ago against Milwaukee, he played 21 minutes. The last game against Minnesota, he played 23 minutes. So it looks like they're going to be ramping up that way. But even with 23 minutes, he had 23 fantasy points, 13 actual points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. And I think the Pistons are going to be a softer matchup for him. So even if he only plays 25 minutes, maybe he'll get 27 at the most. I think he'll be a good mid-tier play for me tonight. What are you looking at, though?
Yeah, I'm looking at his teammate, Otto Porter Jr. at 5'8". Back-to-back games of 36-plus fantasy points. He's more integral onto this team right now with Draymond out. There's more minutes as a starting spot available. And he's done those 2 games in just 19 and 26 minutes and only 9 shots each in those games. He has 10 assists, 16 rebounds, 21 points combined. a lot of steals. And we know he has a very, very solid all-around fantasy game when the guy is healthy. And right now he's looking healthy, and he has the opportunity. So I'm going to take a lot of chances on him at 5'8". All right, man. Last one. Who is your favorite value play of the night?
Yeah, and I'm going to go with another one of their teammates. I'm going to go Kaminga. He's at 4,300, and I think he's one of the best values for tonight's 2-game slate. Like I said, with Draymond out, he's been taking advantage of his opportunity, and I think he could do it again tonight.
All right, I like it. And I'm going to see the injury report. If Nerlens Noel is out, I'm probably going to go more towards Mitch Robinson. I know that's closer to the mid-tier play, but I do like him there. If we're going lower, Isaiah Stewart at 4.6. Again, got to keep an eye on if Kelly Olynyk is out, that helps him. But I think both these centers are in pretty solid spots to finish your roster on while spending up elsewhere. All right, man. That does it for our 2-game post-MLK Day slate. Before we head on out of here, is there anything else you want to say?
No, I think I'm good. Just good luck tonight, guys, and try to get something for tonight. I know 2 games is hard, but we believe in you. You got this.
All right. That does it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and have a great night.
Peace out, guys.